Welcome to Hollywood Actions. In this video, we're going to explore X-rated 1970s movies that are actually awesome. Films that shocked audiences, pushed boundaries, and redefined what cinema could be. The 1970s were one of the boldest decades in film history. Today in this video, we reveal the X-rated 1970s movies that are actually awesome. Now let's dive in. 1. Midnight Cowboy, 1969. Although released in 1969, this groundbreaking drama carried its X rating into the early 1970s cultural conversation and became a landmark of mature storytelling. Directed by John Schlesinger, the film tells the story of a naive Texan who moves to New York City with dreams of making it big, only to form an unlikely friendship with a streetwise conman. What makes this film truly awesome isn't shock value. Its emotional depth. The X rating at the time didn't necessarily mean explicit content. It often meant adult themes. And this movie deals with loneliness, friendship, survival, and the harsh reality of urban life in a way that felt revolutionary. It even went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, making it the only X-rated film ever to do so. That alone proves that sometimes controversy and artistic brilliance go hand in hand. 2. A Clockwork Orange, 1971. Directed by the legendary Stanley Kubrick, this dystopian crime film stunned audiences with its bold visual style and disturbing themes. Set in a near-future Britain, it follows a young delinquent whose violent tendencies lead him into a controversial government rehabilitation program. The X rating stemmed largely from its intense violence and mature subject matter. But beneath the shock lies a brilliant satire about free will, state control, and morality. Kubrick's meticulous direction, combined with unforgettable performances and stylized production design, created a film that still sparks debate today. Rather than existing for provocation alone, this movie forces viewers to confront uncomfortable questions. That's what elevates it from controversial to classic. 3. Last Tango in Paris, 1972. Directed by Bernardo Bertolucci and starring Marlon Brando, this film became one of the most talked-about releases of the decade. The story centers on two strangers who begin an anonymous, emotionally complex relationship in Paris. Its X rating came from explicit sexual themes, but the film is far more than that. It's an exploration of grief, vulnerability, and human connection. Brando delivers one of the most raw performances of his career, peeling back emotional layers in a way rarely seen before. The film's moody cinematography and improvisational feel make it an intense psychological experience rather than mere sensationalism. It remains controversial, but its impact on cinematic storytelling is undeniable. 4. The Devils, 1971. Directed by Ken Russell, this historical drama blends religion, politics, and hysteria in 17th century France. It tells the story of a priest accused of witchcraft amid political power struggles. The film was controversial for its intense imagery and critique of religious institutions. But beyond that, it is visually stunning and intellectually daring. Russell's theatrical style creates a fever dream atmosphere that perfectly captures the chaos of mass hysteria, that it's bold, uncompromising filmmaking, exactly the kind that defined the daring spirit of 1970 cinema. 5. In the Realm of the Senses, 1976. Directed by Nagisa Oshima, this Japanese-French production became one of the most controversial films ever made. Based on a real-life story from 1930s Japan, it explores an obsessive romantic relationship that spirals into dangerous territory. While undeniably explicit, the film is often discussed in academic circles as an art house meditation on obsession, control, and identity. The cinematography is elegant, the pacing deliberate, and the emotional intensity almost hypnotic. Rather than existing as exploitation, it's frequently analyzed as a serious artistic statement about desire and power. 6. Straw Dogs, 1971. Directed by Sam Peckinpah and starring Dustin Hoffman, this psychological thriller examines violence, masculinity, and human nature. The story follows a quiet mathematician who moves to rural England and finds himself caught in escalating tensions with the locals. The X rating was due to intense violence and mature content. Peckinpah was known for exploring the brutality beneath civilized surfaces. Here, he crafts a tense, uncomfortable film that challenges audiences to question who the real aggressor is. It's gripping, unsettling, and intellectually provocative. 7. Emmanuelle, 1974. Directed by Just Jekin, this French erotic drama became an international sensation. Unlike many exploitation films of the era, this movie was stylish, atmospheric, and surprisingly elegant. It followed a young woman exploring her identity and independence while living abroad. Its lush cinematography and dreamy tone made it more of an artful, sensual drama than a crude production. It sparked a wave of similar films, but remains one of the most iconic entries in its genre. 8. Pink Flamingos, 1972. Directed by underground filmmaker John Waters and starring the iconic drag performer Divine. This film is pure cult chaos. Designed to shock, offend, and challenge mainstream taste, it became a midnight movie phenomenon. Beneath the outrageous humor and deliberate bad taste lies sharp satire aimed at conventional morality and suburban hypocrisy. It's not polished Hollywood filmmaking, but that's the point. It's rebellious, countercultural cinema that embodies the fearless creativity of the 1970s underground scene. 9. Caligula, 1979. Produced by Bob Guccione and starring Malcolm McDowell, this Roman epic is infamous for its production history, that a dramatization of the life of the Roman emperor. The film combined big-budget sets, respected actors, and controversial explicit additions. The result was chaotic, but undeniably ambitious. Despite its troubled release, the performances and scale of production make it a fascinating artifact of cinematic excess. It represents the extreme edge of 1970s experimentation, where art house ambition collided with exploitation marketing. 10. Deep Throat, 1972. Perhaps the most infamous adult film of all time, this production crossed into mainstream cultural conversation in ways few expected. It was discussed openly in media, referenced by celebrities, and even mentioned in political scandals. While primarily known as an adult film, its cultural impact is what makes it significant in film history. It symbolized the brief period known as porno chic, when adult films were screened in public theaters and discussed seriously in newspapers. Its legacy is complex and controversial, but it undeniably marks a moment when the boundaries between mainstream and adult cinema blurred dramatically. The 1970s were messy, bold, controversial, and unforgettable. And these X-rated films remind us that sometimes the most talked about movies are also the most daring works of art. They weren't made to be safe. They were made to challenge audiences, provoke conversation, and expand the language of cinema. Whether you admire them, criticize them, or feel conflicted about them, there's no denying their influence. They help shape modern filmmaking and open the door for creative freedom that filmmakers still enjoy today. And that's why these 10 X-rated 1970s movies are actually awesome. Not because they shocked, but because they dared. That if you enjoyed this deep dive into controversial cinema history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video for more Hollywood insights and film explorations. Thanks for watching.